How's it going today, everybody? Welcome to today's class. I am Coach Ray. So for today's class, we're going to need, again, the two 7-footers and a 5-footer, at least if you're 5'10" or taller, 5'10" or shorter. You know, you typically go with the 6-footers with a 4-footer. So what we're going to need for today is we are going to need a pad, okay, for the knees later, and I'll explain that drill is going to be for a core drill. I have a kettlebell on the bench just so the bench doesn't move. We're going to get into some deadlift variations during the strength training phase. And so we're going to start with warming up the hips and ankles, and then we're going to move on to the spine and go from there today. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to grab the 5-foot stick here, okay? Now, typically when we do the ankle drills, we typically go with about hip to shoulder width stance, toes pointed forward, but instead we're going to do that and make it a little bit different. We're actually going to get into a pretty wide stance, so we're actually going to squat down a bit here, okay? And so I'm going to take a stance that's actually wider, much wider than my shoulders. The stick is still directly in front of me. I'm going to pick up the stick, angle the bottom end just a little bit, just so it helps with balance, okay? What I'm going to do from here, the positioning of my pelvis doesn't change. It's always going to stay stacked under my spine. But what I'm going to do from here is I'm actually going to squat down a bit here, okay? So I'm not squatting too low. If you look from the side, I'm only squatting about this low here, okay? If that's a comfortable position for you to get into, that's the position we're going to be in. So from here, I'm going to squat down, okay? And what I'm going to do from here, and my feet are going to be slightly angled out just a little bit. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to bring my heels up, not letting my hips rise up here, okay? I'm going to bring them back down slowly. Good. And back up. Keep the shoulders down. Okay. Keep your hips stacked under your spine. Down. Back up. And try to keep the knees out over the toes. Okay. Don't let those knees buckle in. Down. Up. Remember, the stick is only for balance. Down. Legs are probably burning a little bit, that's okay. Up. You should feel burning the quads here. Down. Up. Down. Let's go 2 more here. Up. Down. 1 more. Up. And down. You want to relax for a second. So what we're doing here is not only are we getting the ankles and feet to warm up, but we're also getting a lot of the hips too. So that's why I really want you to focus on bringing those knees out so you're not buckling in, but you're actually opening up the hips at the same time. We're going to go back down to the same position, but this time we're going to teeter-totter between both feet here, okay? So the positioning of my hands is basically right about where my chest level is, maybe a little bit lower. Go to get here, I'm going to squat down. I'm going to bring both feet up. I'm going to drop my left heel down without it touching the floor, okay? And then back up with the left and bring down the right. Heel does not touch the floor, keep it hovering. Bring up the right, drop the left. Bring up the left and drop the right. Bring up the right, drop the left. Remember, hips level doesn't move. Bring up the left, drop the right. Good, switch. Switch. Let's go 1 more each side, switch. And switch. Back up and down. Good. Okay. So that concludes the feet, the hips. So now we're going to start to work on hip rotation. So I got my 2 7-footers here. And what we're going to do here, we're going to have my feet close together, okay? Touching preferably. And so what I'm going to do, I have the bottoms of the sticks angle to be about roughly 6 inches in front of the line of my toes here. I'm gonna place my hands at shoulder height, okay? Now from here, I'm gonna extend my hands out straight. I wanna make sure I keep my shoulder positioning down. Don't let this happen. So bring those shoulders down. And then what I'm gonna do from here, I'm gonna bring up my right knee, keep my left leg straight, bring my knee up only to about hip height. Then I'm gonna simply work on rotation. I'm gonna internally rotate here, then externally rotate. I wanna keep my knee in the middle of the sticks here, okay? Externally rotate, internal, external, internal, external, internal, external, internal. Back to center and down. So we're only touching the sticks, we're not pushing against the sticks per se. We're just trying to work on those rotational muscles of the hip here. So now we're gonna switch to the other side. Same positioning. Drive the sticks down about 20%. Bring the left hip up. External, internal. External, internal. External, internal. External, internal. Let's go a few more. In, out, in, out. One more, in, and out. Back down. Good. And so now we're going to get into a little bit of rotation. So it works best if you actually have the corner of a wall or door frame or whatever you have available to you. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have the stick angled into the corner of the door here, okay? I'm going to take my hand. So for me, I want to look at, when I bring the stick straight down here, my hand is going across my midline here. Okay, that's what we're going for. So I'm gonna have the stick angled up like so, okay? My feet are about wider than shoulder width a little bit, okay? Toes are pointed forward. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna hinge back, keeping the stick where it's at, and get a hang going. So I'm gonna open up a lot of those tissues in the chest and the shoulder here, okay? It's gonna hang here for a second. Now, without changing the angle of my spine, I'm going to start to bring my arm down and across my body. And now I'm going to use my left hand and open up and rotate, driving the stick, driving my right hand into the corner of the wall, reaching up with my left hand. Then we're going to bring this left hand back down, and the stick returns back to its original position. Good. Still holding this position here. We're not changing. We're coming out of this position. Now we're going to rotate across. Bring our left hand up towards the ceiling. Drive with that right hand. Try to keep those hips facing the floor. Left hand comes down. Right hand comes back up. We're going to do this one more time. Okay? You should feel like some of those muscles and tissues in the chest opening up a little bit here as we hold this position. Now we're going to go across, rotate, reach up, come back out of it, and stand up. Good. So now we're going to switch sides. Okay. Positioning is still the same as we did on the other side. Feet are still at the same stance width. Toes are pointed forward. Okay. And again, it's across the midline here. Okay, I want it as far across the midline as I possibly can get it. Stick comes up. Gonna hang. Get a good hinge going. Your lower back should not be rounding, okay? As you do this, you want to maintain a neutral spine throughout. Now I'm going to bring my left hand across, open my right hand up towards the ceiling. Right hand comes down. The left hand comes back up to that same position. Again, stretching out those tissues in the front of in the pec in front of the shoulder here. And also, do not let your shoulder blade come up as you do this. Pull that shoulder blade down and back. Really take advantage of that stretch. If it's too much of a stretch, just back out of it a little bit here. I'm going to rotate this arm across again. Driving my left hand into the corner of the wall. Make sure you're breathing. Come back. Again, left hand comes back up again. Should feel like your rib cage is also opening up a little bit too. Back down, rotate across. And you want to actually look up towards the ceiling as we do this here as well. Back down. Stand up and come out. And good. So, we're working on getting the spine open up there. Also opening up a lot of those interior tissues that a lot of people are tight in. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to do something that's somewhat similar to the landmine, but not exactly the same. We're going to use this as a way to just kind of flow back and forth through rotation here. And so we're not really going to be generating a ton of tension, but we are going to be in a wide stance, okay? Wider than shoulder width. Hands are up above our head here, okay? So notice my arms are actually angled. And what I want to do here is I actually want to keep my pelvis tucked a little bit. So I'm basically squeezing my glutes just to kind of lock my pelvis in place. And then what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to lightly push a stick into the corner of the wall, okay? And I'm going to rotate to my left. I want to drive my left hip forward as I rotate, so that rotation is coming from my mid, back, and upper spine. I'm going to come up, rotate to the other side. Now I'm pushing my right hip forward. So as I rotate to my right, I'm pushing my right hip forward. Rotate to my left. Push my left hip forward. Good, come back up. Rotate to my right. Push my right hip forward. Come back up. Now rotate to my left. Drop my left hip forward. Back up. To my right. Good, back up. Let's go one more time each side. Rotate to my left. Drop my left hip forward. Back up. Rotate to my right. Drop my right hip forward. Back up. And relax. Okay. So that concludes the warm-up for today. So now we're going to get into the strength training portion, and we're actually going to start off with a core drill. So for this, you will need a pad or something for you to kneel on. Okay. And again, we're going to be in the corner of a wall here, but what we're going to do is we're going to be in a full kneeling position here. So only go as far as you can comfortably go while keeping your structural integrity here, okay? So we're effectively going to do a plank, okay? A single stick, kind of almost like a plank at will kind of movement here. So we're going to get a lot of core engagement, but the main thing is keeping the pelvis and rib cage aligned the entire time. And so what I want to do, I want to get far enough back to where when I grip the stick with both hands, the stick lays on my chest here, okay? Then what I'm gonna do from here, and notice that both feet, I'm dorsiflexing both ankles, so my big toe is going into the floor. I'm gonna have my arms stretched out, straight, okay? What I'm gonna do from here, keeping my core engaged, ribs down, pelvis tucked in, I want to start to drive that stick up towards the wall, and I'm gonna lean forward a bit, get to a challenging position, you're gonna hold, then come back up, and down, okay? We're gonna switch our hands every repetition just so we're not getting all the work gripping it in one way, okay? So same thing, arms straight. We're gonna push that up, that top part of the stick towards the wall, start to bring our body down, hold, now you're gonna slowly come out, and switch again. So if you want to make this a little more challenging, you can actually bring your hands down lower on the stick, okay? So I'll do a couple reps here, just so you can see how much of a difference it is. So from here, hands are down. Now when I extend my elbow or extend my arms out, notice my hands are directly in front of my chest here, okay? From here, we're gonna start to do that same thing. Push the top of the stick towards the wall. I'm going to drop my body forward, keeping structural integrity in the spine and the hips. Hold. Come back up. Good, and switch. So again, this is gonna be a lot more challenging, not only on the grip, but on the core. So making sure you're keeping your back in a good position is gonna be extremely important here. If you're starting to feel your lower back kick in, that means you've gone too far, which is too much of a challenge. So you can always back off a bit. So we're gonna go one more time. So arms straight out. Going to drive the top of the stick towards the wall. Out, hold. Come back up slowly. And good, okay. So that was like a little bit of a hybrid between a, kind of like an ab wheel and a plank. That makes it really, really challenging. So when you actually do this one, really try to make sure you're getting your core engaged. Is extremely important with that one here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna move this out of the way, put my 5-foot stick down. Now I'm gonna grab the 2 long sticks. So again, you're gonna need the edge of a door, of a wall, right corner of a wall. And so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna place both 7-footers behind me. So this is my take on a deadlift, right? And get some of those same muscles involved. And so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna take a stance that I typically go with my deadlift. So for me, roughly about hip width apart. Toes are forward. I wanna make sure I'm grabbing the ground with my toes here, okay? So almost like with my toes, I'm grabbing and gripping the ground here, make sure I got a good stability. What I'm gonna do from here, my hands at the top are going to be right in front of my hips, okay? So what I'm gonna do from here, I'm going to pull my shoulder blades down, drive those sticks behind me, and then and from here I'm squeezing my glutes, right? So this is the top position here, looking straight ahead. I'm going to start to hinge my hips back, and my head follows along with my spine, okay? Once the sticks get to roughly about mid-shin, I'm going to still drive those sticks into the wall with about 70% tension. You should feel the lats turn on, posterior chain engage. Now we're gonna add a little bit extra. I wanna drive my knees outwards and pull the sticks inwards towards my midline. So you're gonna feel those glutes work here a little bit harder. Now I'm gonna come up, gliding the sticks along my legs, Squeeze the glutes, still driving the sticks back, and ease off. Good. We're gonna do 3 more of those, okay? Positioning still the same. Grab the ground with your toes, okay? Hands right in front of the hips. Drive, so shoulders down. Drive the sticks back. Squeeze those glutes. Good. Now we're gonna start to hinge. Drive those sticks back, 70%. Hinging. Once it gets to mid-shin, hold. Now, pull those sticks in towards your midline and drive those knees out. Hold. Come up. Squeeze the glutes. And ease off. We got 2 more here. So we're gonna up that intensity. We're gonna go to 85%. So we're gonna go through a little bit quicker of these cues, okay? Grab the ground with your feet. Drive the sticks back. 85%, shoulder blades down. Squeeze the glutes. Good, start to hinge. Stop at mid-shin. Oh. So, don't be like me and let it slip. Straddle the sticks back. Keep those knees out. Come up. Ease off. Got 1 more time. Okay? So only go as far as you can handle. It shouldn't be painful. If you're getting a lot of lower back involvement, a lot of lower back pain, then just reduce your range of motion. Okay? Same thing, shoulders down, drive the sticks back, squeeze the glutes, grab the ground with your feet. Start to hinge, driving those sticks back. Good. Try to get pull your hands in toward your midline. Bring those knees out. Back up. Squeeze your glutes and ease off. Well, that is one way to do a bit of a deadlift progression there, okay? So again, we're getting a lot of those same posterior muscles active. We're getting a little bit of lower back and thoracic activation. We're also going to work on the glutes and the lat engagement from that position as well. And so now what we're going to do, we are going to be in a deadlift position again, but what we're going to do is we're going to actually activate one side at a time here. And so what that means is I'm going to use this bench. There's a reason why this kettlebell's on there so it doesn't move. But I'm going to use this bench, or if you have a table or whatever you have access to line up, okay? The stance should be the same as it was for that last deadlift drill. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place the bottom of the stick under the bench, okay? Make sure it's actually secure, right? Don't just barely place it under, make sure it's placed under pretty well here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hinge down until the stick's roughly about even, okay? Now what I'm gonna do from here is I'm going to pull my left hand up. My right hand is going to reflexively push in the opposite direction. And I want to hold this position here, but I want to make sure that my elbows are not bending. And I'm lightly pushing the stick into the bench here. And then ease off. Good. We're going to do that 2 more times, okay? Lightly push the stick into the bench, pull up, pull shoulder back with that left hand. Should feel your lats and your obliques engaging here. Make sure you breathe. Should be at about 70 to 80% tension. And ease off. We're gonna do this 1 more time, then we'll switch sides, okay? Drive the stick into the bench. pull up with that left hand. And again, that inside hand should not be bending. Our elbow has to stay straight. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Good. And now we're going to switch sides. So what I'll do here is I'll move the bench over this way more. And so what you will notice is that one side is going to be stronger than the other. That is normal. So same thing we do on the other side, we're going to do on this side here. Okay? Feet about whatever your most comfortable deadlift stance is going to be. Place a stick under. Okay? It's probably best if you use a wall for this, the more than I'm thinking about it here. So, go down till the stick is about even. Okay? Drive the stick into the bench. Pull up with that right hand. Ease off. Okay, we're going to get into it again. So drive the stick into the wall. Then pull up with that right hand or inside hand. Remember, arms straight. Ease off. Gonna go one more time. Okay. Grab a stick into the bench lightly or wall. And then pull up with that right hand. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Good. And that concludes the strength training portion of it, okay? So I'm going to put this to the side. So now we're going to get into the stretching. And so what we're actually going to do here, since we're just working on the posterior chain, working on the hamstrings, glute, low back, we're going to go through stretching that out now. But what we have to do is going to be a little bit different. I've done videos on working with the hamstrings. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with positioning of the stick. It's going to be different here. So we're going to have one stick. I'm going to have it in my left hand. I'm going to have one of the stick in my left hand. The opposite end is going across, so diagonal from where my left hand is. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to place my left heel a couple inches in front of my right foot, or the toes of my right foot, have my ankle dorsiflexed here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start to place my hand on the stick, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to start to reach out with my right hand, and I'm driving my left hip back and in the opposite direction of the stick here, okay? So I just want to hold this position here. You should be feeling a stretch in the hamstring, slight bend to the knee, okay? And back up. Good. We're going to do that same thing again. This time we're going to add in some rotation of the left hip, okay? So, right hand on a stick, ankle dorsiflex, I'm going to reach my right hand, as far as I can comfortably go, without losing integrity. And now I'm going to start to rotate the hip. I'm going to rotate my toes away from my midline. Then I'm going to rotate my toes towards my midline, internal rotation. So I'm going to go out, and we should be feeling a change and where you feel that stretch. So out, as you go out, should begin a little bit more the lateral or the outside of the hamstring. As you go in, should begin a little bit more of the medial or the inner part of the hamstring. Out and in. Back to neutral and come up. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. So now the sticks, one end of the stick's in my right hand, the opposite end of the stick is diagonal from my right hand. I'm going to start half feet together. I'm going to place my right foot a couple inches in front of the toes on my left foot here. Okay? Ankles dorsiflex. We're going to go through those same steps. Okay? So left hand is on a stick. Then I'm going to drop my hips back, reaching with my left hand. All right, do not let your back round. So if you feel like your back is rounding, just come up a little bit more. Hold. Come out of it slowly, come back up. Good. We're going to do the same thing on this side as we did for the left hip or left hamstring. We're going to start to add in some rotations. So, hand stays by the hip, right hand stays by the hip, left hand is on the stick. We're going to start to drop the hips back, reaching towards the bottom of the stick here. Okay. Now we're going to externally rotate. Internally rotate. Out, toes out. So rotate from the hip. Don't just rotate the ankle, rotate the hip. Then rotate towards your midline. Rotate away from your midline. In. Out. In. One more time. Out. In. Back to middle. And come up. That works on a hamstring. So now we're going to get into a straddle stretch. And so this one, we're going to spend a little bit of time in a straddle just so we can kind of work on a few different movements here. And so I'm actually going to move this out a little bit further. I'm going to sit here. So usually for this, I use the Pro model, but using what I got. And so with the straddle stretch, you want to sit as far apart, have your legs spread as wide as you comfortably can handle. Okay. I'm going to take the stick and I'm going to put it where the arches of my foot are. I don't want it up at my toes, right? Because it can slip off, right? And I don't want it at the heels because then I can start to round over. So I want to keep it at the arch of my foot here, okay? What I'm going to do from here, I'm going to pull the stick towards me, bringing my chest up tall and out so it keeps my spine in a neutral, straight up tall position. We're going to hold. Ease off. Now as you do this, you should be feeling a stretch in the adductors and the hamstrings as well, okay? So I'm going to rotate the stick a little bit, right, just so it's not bending all in one way. I'm going to pull the stick back towards me, stand up tall. Now notice my toes are up towards the ceiling. They're not angled out. Okay, I want to keep my toes upwards. Okay, so ankles dorsiflexed. Good. Let's try to wiggle the feet out a little bit wider. Okay. Rotate the stick again. Last time. Pull. Get upright, chest out. okay? And so now we're gonna start to work on reaching to each side, but we're gonna walk our hands over. So I'm gonna rotate the stick a little bit more. I'm gonna pull, okay? First pull, I'm gonna walk over to the left side. And so I'm gonna bring my right hand over my left, still pulling, okay? Then I'm gonna bring my left hand over my right, and then my right hand over my left again to that maximum stretch position. I'm gonna hold. Walk my hands back over. And now I'm gonna go to the right side. So left hand goes over right, one hand over the other, reach. Walk my hands back. Good, slowly ease off. Rotate the stick again. Okay. Pull. Walk my hands over to the left. One hand over the other. Okay. Reach, pull. Make sure you breathe here, okay? Keep your breathing under control. I'm gonna walk my hands back over to the other side. One hand over the other. The good thing about this is you also get a stretch in the low back and the QL as you do this as well, okay? So if you got a tight low back, this might be a really good stretch for you if you're also trying to work on some hip mobility and flexibility. Come back. Good. And ease off, okay? And so now I'm going to basically now challenge a lot of these structures on my adductor line, okay? So instead of having an overhand grip, I'm going to have an underhand grip, okay? Now from here, again, the typical guy would do this with a pro model, so only go as far as you can handle here, okay? So what I want to do is from here, I want to pull the stick in towards me and again, be up tall, but now I'm going to pull myself down, my chest down towards the stick. Gonna get a huge stretch in the adductors here, okay? Toes are pointed up. Come back up, ease off, rotate the stick, okay? So, from here, pull first, up tall, try to bring the chest down towards the stick. Ease off. One more time, okay? Thumbs up. Pull the stick in. Try to bring the chest down to the stick. See if you can get a little bit further. Ease off. Good. So now we're going to come out of that position slowly, okay? Don't come out of it too quickly. And now we're going to finish off with a little bit of ninja flow, okay? So I'm going to take a wide stance. I know we're just in a position where we stretch out the adductors, but they should feel nice and loose now. And so we're going to take a wide stance, and again, it's going to be as wide as what's comfortable for you, whatever doesn't cause any pain. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to take the bottom of the stick, have it in towards the ball of my right foot. I'm going to have my right hand up at about eye level, maybe forehead height, okay? What I'm going to do from here, hinge back. What I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to work in and out of the ninja flow here. And so I'm going to reach towards the bottom of the stick. Thumb is facing the floor, so think about thumb down towards the floor. And from here, lightly pull apart, and I'm just going to lunge over, drive my hips back, Then I'm gonna come back to neutral. Then lunge to the left, away from the stick, back to neutral. I'm only gonna hold those positions for a couple seconds. Lunge, back up. We'll do a few more here. Lunge. You should be driving those hips back. Up, back to center. Lunge. Back to center. One more time. Lunge. Back to center. Leg out left hand. Come out slowly. And now we're going to switch sides. So typically we would hold these positions for quite a bit longer, but again, I kind of want to flow in and out of this since we've already used a lot of these tissues. So what we're going to do here, position is going to be the same. The bottom of the stick is on the inside of the ball of my left foot. Hand is at about eye to forehead height. Okay, going to hinge back. Grab the bottom of the stick, thumb facing down toward the floor. Pull apart lightly, 10-15%, and then lunge to the right. Hold. Back to neutral. Lunge. Back to center. Lunge. Back to center. Lunge. Back to center. Couple more. Lunge. Back to center. One more time. Lunge. Back to center. Let go of that right hand and come out. Now wiggle the feet in slowly. Good. And that concludes today's class. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time.